Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. In our first story, respect the schedule, kiddo. Let's jump right in. This story took place about 2 years ago over the span of about 2 weeks. I work in a factory on an assembly line that makes car parts, and my boss at the time was stingy about meeting quotas and people respecting the schedule down to the minute. Let's call him Mike. Now for some setup. We'd clock in at 7 a.m., work 8 hours, and clock out at 3 p.m., breaks included. We had to do some paperwork both before we started production and after we ended it. Mike was up in our faces from day one about needing to be in at least 15 minutes before our shift started so we could clear the paperwork. The bus dropped us off at 6:45 a.m., and we needed to go to the lockers to change, so that was impossible. Begin production at exactly 7 a.m., and stop 5 minutes before 3 p.m. so we'd have just enough time to finish the ending paperwork. But he, of course, had never done that paperwork himself, and either didn't know or didn't care that it actually took closer to 20 minutes. Now, that paperwork was essential. If a shift didn't do it, they'd get chewed out hard by quality control. And combined with the fact that Mike was strict about the quota, 8 hours just weren't enough to do everything they wanted. It was closer to 9 hours. But I said, fine, I'll let it slide, and started coming to work with my own car so I could be early and also stay 15 to 20 minutes over to finish up. I wasn't reimbursed for gas, I wasn't paid overtime for coming early and leaving late, but it stopped the near-daily arguments with Mike, so I relented. Fast forward about 6 months, and me and my team had a solid routine in place. Everything went smoothly, we mostly met the quota, the paperwork was always done, until one day it wasn't. One Monday morning my car had trouble starting up, and I'd already missed the bus, so I called Mike to let him know I'd be running a bit late. I figured, hey, he noticed I try my best every day, and he'd let it slide this one time. How wrong I was. Mike was polite over the phone, but he chewed me out the moment I got in. I was 2 minutes late. I made it at 7:02. Next time you're late, don't bother coming in. I don't need lazy people working here. That was just one of the nasty things he said, but it's the one I remember most clearly because it blew me away. He used me being late to guilt-trip me into working copious amounts of overtime that week, and I accepted just to appease him. I wasn't a very confrontational person, so I always took the path of least resistance in an argument. And long story short, the overtime left me so drained that I overslept Friday and was late again. This time, I made it in at 7:03. I should fire you right now for this. I already gave you a warning Monday, was the first thing he said to me when I came in. Sorry, I was just too tired. I foolishly tried to defend myself. It won't happen again, plus I've been coming in early and leaving late for months. Can't you cut me some slack for 3 minutes? I didn't ask you to do that, he answered, which was a lie since he expressly asked us to come in 15 minutes early every day. Your shift starts exactly at 7 a.m. and ends exactly at 3 p.m., not a minute earlier or later. Got it, boss, I said, all giddy inside. The next week, I came in at exactly 7 a.m. and left at exactly 3 p.m. Production started at 7:20 and ended at 2:40, so I could do all the paperwork. That, of course, affected our quota, and it didn't take Mike long to notice. We argued over that as well, obviously, but I reminded him of what he said earlier, and it actually shut him up. He tried to get me to relent and start coming in 15 minutes early and leaving 20 minutes late again, but I just laughed and said, nope, not my problem. But the story doesn't end here, because of course, Mike tried to pull more crap with me. He tried to get me fired for this, but it didn't fly with HR. His write-ups just bounced when he sent them further up the command chain, but he noticed something that I didn't. I clocked in a few seconds after 7. We used an electronic log with individual access cards. So he passed a new rule that he planned to enforce retroactively. Only full hours are paid. If you clock in or out too late or early, the hour gets cut. He came to confront me about that the following Monday, a few minutes after I got in. Hey, EXO, I noticed that you clocked in too late every day last week, so we'll have to cut 5 hours from your payroll, he said with a smug grin. This took me aback a bit because I'd never heard of that rule before and I saw others clocking in at the same time as me, so I just stared at him in shock. He clearly derived pleasure from this, thinking he finally bested me. I'd have my pay cut for my insolence. I also checked and found that you clocked in 5 seconds too late right now, he continued. So this hour will also go unpaid, I asked. Yep, he said, nearly ecstatic by that point. Awesome, I answered with a crap-eating grin. See you at 8. I turned and left, grabbed a coffee and a sandwich, and I waited in the break room. Mike came in after me 10 minutes later and finally apologized, asking me to return to work. So you'll pay me this hour, I asked. No, you clocked in too late. Then I'm not obligated to work it, I said. Fine, it will be paid. Now get back to work, he relented. And the 5 hours from last week, I demanded, because if not, I'll leave 5 hours early today to compensate. He looked like he was ready to strangle me with his bare hands, but he accepted. I got back to work, those hours were paid, and we returned to our normal routine of me coming in early and leaving a bit late. And Mike never bothered me for being late a few minutes ever again, though it was a rare occurrence. For the 2 years I worked under him until he left, I still worked there, I was late maybe 3 more times. But he couldn't stand my guts and actively avoided me after that point. I know that this story isn't very impressive, but I'm still proud of it and still brag about it to this day whenever funny stories from work come up in conversations. Story number 2. I just went home. My boss was so surprised. I just wanted to vent a little. Today my dog got sick when I was at the office. After completing all my time-sensitive work, I asked if I could work from home on editing a long document. Anyway, boss man told me no and started talking about work-life balance and said it looks bad to admin if people work from home. He says I can't work from home. For context, my boss has a wife who works from home regularly because the tile guy is coming or the tree guy is coming. They have a lot of guys, I guess. Also, she worked from home the first 6 months I was there, and even now that she is back in the office, I see her mostly online shopping. For example, she was looking at vases today, which seems really important. So I told him I wouldn't work anymore today, clocked out, and just left. He was shocked. He asked if I would be working additional hours on other days to make it up. I don't know, dude. I do know that if I have to go home to watch my dog and you won't pay me, I'm not working from home for free. I work hourly and don't have any leave or vacation time, so if I don't work, I don't get paid. I can, luckily, afford 3 hours off. My dog's health is way more important than my stupid job. Who expects me to leave my pet suffering alone when they pay me $15 an hour with no benefits? This job is a temporary choice while my partner works on their career, and I used to have a salary and benefits over $30 an hour for the same type of work somewhere else. So I think they are ripping all the employees off, but that's another story. I don't even understand why he was talking to me about work-life balance. I don't think it means what he thinks it means. In his world, does it mean I have to make work a bigger priority? My dog is too precious. This is John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, then subscribe. I would love for you to drop a like, share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.